In this video we're going to be exploring the Hue and Saturation Adjustment. Now don't forget, if you're a fan of the printed page, there's a free ebook to accompany the video. Just click on the link in the More section under the video to download it. Okay, so let's dig in. The three main attributes or components of colour are hue, saturation and luminance, sometimes called lightness. Now hue is a single colour. Green is a hue, blue is a hue, orange is a hue. There are an infinite number of colours. Saturation is the intensity or the purity or amount of a hue. And luminance, well, that's the amount of perceived brightness of a colour. The colour black has no luminance, whereas the colour white has the highest luminance. Now the Hue Saturation Adjustment layer is used for colour correction. More specifically, it allows us to control the hue, the saturation and luminance for each colour channel. Now hue saturation is great for changing the characteristics of a particular colour. Not only your overall global colour, when you make changes to a particular hue, none of the other colours in your image are affected. Now for instance, if the reds in your image are too saturated, you will simply choose the red channel from the drop down menu to desaturate the reds to the desired level without affecting any of the other images. Okay, well let's see it in action. Here we've got an image, and let's firstly put a hue and saturation adjustment layer on. Now we can get to hue and saturation several different ways. We could go to the image, adjustments and hue and saturation. Now going that way, this is a destructive edit, so we'd be physically changing the pixel numbers. Sometimes we have to, but if I can avoid it, I always go for a non-destructive method. And I could do that by going down to the bottom of the layers panel and clicking on the little icon at the bottom and choosing hue and saturation. Or I could go up to the layer menu and I could choose new adjustment layer and choose it from there. Or there is another way. If I go to the image and adjustments, you can see there is also a destructive control and hue. But let's go for an adjustment layer. So I'm going to put a hue and saturation adjustment layer on. And there it is on the top of the layer stack. And here is in the properties panel is the adjustment. Now the hue is rotating all the colours around the colour wheel. So if I click on the hue slider and drag it over, you'll see that all the colours will rotate, that what was one colour will now become another colour. So all the greens have gone to purples and the reds have gone to this colour, this cyan colour. Okay, I'll set that back to 0. Now the saturation, well, that's how much colour is there. So if we pull the saturation over to the right, it'll go nuclear. And if we pull the saturation over to the left, it goes black and white because it takes all the colour out. It completely desaturates the image. Okay, set that back to 0. And then the lightness. Now this is a slider I very rarely use. If I'm going to want to adjust the contrast or the lights and darks in an image, there are more intelligent tools to use, like levels or curves. But basically we can make the image go lighter, or we can make the image go darker. I'll set that back to 0. Now we can also target specific colour ranges, because what we've just done is been global. Now up here where it says master, if I click on that, you can see I've got some colour ranges. Now if I click on, say, the reds, I'm now specifically targeting the red tones in the image. So if I now change the hue, I'll be changing the hue of whatever's red in the image, so I can turn that tram nice and green. And then I can increase the saturation of anything that's red in the image, or I can desaturate it. And I can change the lightness, make it lighter or darker. And the same with, let's say, the trees. Let's go for the greens. And we'll try and just to saturate those up a little bit. Well, there's nothing much happening there. It's pulling the lampposts out because they're green. Quite often a lot of green is in the yellow spectrum. So let's have a go at that. Let's just go and change for yellow. And we'll try and boost the saturate. Ah, that's working. Yeah, So we can now boost the saturation of all the yellows, and that's pulling out all the greens. And it's pretty awful because there's obviously some green that's reflected in some of these kids, but you can see what I mean. You can actually attack a very specific colour range. Right, well that's it for this video. I do hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up or leave a comment under the video. Don't forget to check out the More area under the video for the link to any download files or free ebooks. And please subscribe. Click the subscribe button so when I upload a new video, you are the first to know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.